Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Merry Maker series. We have another class for you today. We are hanging out with Amy. Hi, Amy. Welcome.
So happy to be here.
This is such a pleasure. This is our first time collaborating. So I know a lot of people over here at Sam's Bead Shop probably don't know who you are yet. So would you introduce yourself? Where are we chatting with you? And tell us what you'd like to do in the bead world.
Well, my name's Amy Campbell. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri area, and I just started my channel 6 months ago, 6 months and a couple days ago. And, I started this just thinking I would share and maybe I could help someone in the process. And in that process, just even more so fell in love with everything I already love about designing and creating and sharing. And so really all of my loves can collaborate just by sharing my work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exciting.
So yeah, folks, definitely after this video have to check out Campbell Creations if you're not subscribed yet, because you have live videos, recorded tutorials, bead boxes. There's a lot going on over there, it seems like.
Lots of fun. I just like to have fun. And I like to bring you along with me.
That's so great. Well, today I sent you some of the beads from our holiday Czech glass box. So this was a bonus bead box. It wasn't part of our regular bead box. It was a bonus box for folks who want stuff that feels like the holidays. I know I see your decorations behind you. I know that you must love those colors, that feeling.
Yes, very much.
Let me just give everyone a little peek. I'm going to pull this up right here. So this is our holiday Czech glass box. I still have it laid out from when Jessie took the photo of it. So there are lots of, and there's even some medals in there. So it's filled with so much goodness. So I sent over some of these to Amy.
Beautiful.
And she got making. So we're going to see what inspired you. So if you want to flip over your camera and we can dive in.
I'm excited too.
Let's do it. Wonderful. Take it away.
I just loved the brightness and the colors that came in this collection. And I just jumped right into it. The first thing that caught my eye were these beauties right here.
Yeah, this is a newer shape for us. We call it the marquee oval because it just has that extra specialness to it.
Just gorgeous, gorgeous. And I love how the light travels through those as well. And then my eyes went straight to these beautiful stars.
Yes. Yeah, they have the coating on there is so cool. It's this magenta color and this like iris metallic. They're so much fun.
I love the halves and halves on these. Half of it is that brightness and then it's kind of translucent on the other side. And it just, either side that displays there is going to give some real pop, and they flow so beautifully with these window beads. Right. Look at these.
Yeah, these are a 3-facet round. So they have that faceting on 3 sides, and you've got that beautiful fuchsia tone and the bronze on there as well.
I couldn't get over these and how well they go together. And then, I have a bit of a thing for green, and I was so happy to see these.
Yeah, you got to have fire polish. It makes designing so much easier. It's just a classic.
Just absolutely beautiful. And it's that perfect color and perfect tone of green to pull in those pink colors. And so what I loved is with this came this gorgeous toggle. And I just love copper with these colors anyways. Look at these window beads with that.
Yeah, I picked out, this is actually one of our antique brass toggles that we have in the shop that I thought blended well. This one you folks can purchase separately, but I just thought it was a great combination.
It's just cool. It's just cool. I like the dark pulling in. And then I went ahead and pulled in a little bit of pop just with some 11O seed beads. Nice. But then also what we'll be using that we'll incorporate here in the earrings are these little beauties.
Oh yeah, we had 4mm fire polish as well in the Czech box. So these are like, I think, are they 3mm?
I think these are 3. These are little bitty guys.
Yeah,
Are they
little
short?
ones. I mean, they almost look like gemstones. Like they
Oh,
have that look.
well, and the thing is for being so little, I'm such a fan of itty bitty beads with micro faceting, and these just did it.
Yeah.
Those did it for me for
Yeah,
sure.
we had a lot of fun putting this together. This was a joint effort. Me, my brother Sam, Shira, all three of us worked closely together to decide what should be in here.
Well, you did well, and I appreciate the opportunity to get to play with them.
I know. Now you're gonna transform it. So what are we gonna make today?
So I am super excited to make a triple strand bracelet and a pair of earrings to go with it today. And I just thought of holiday party when I saw these colors, and that pink pop that's in there with the green. Triple strand was the way to go, because no matter what else you're wearing, you can add a triple strand and a pop of color to your ears, and it just is happiness. So that's what I decided to go with. That's what I decided to go with.
I love that.
And what we're going to be using with this today is I'm using Soft Flex, and this is in that ruby red color, and it's just gorgeous. Love it. Love it. And so I just cut 3 of these, and what you'll see is I've already completed one. So this one is going to be the focal, and really all I've done here is I've taken this window bead and put a couple seed beads around it, put a couple different colored seed beads around our stars, and I just alternated here.
I think if you just hold that a little farther away, that might help us with the focus.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
That looks good right there.
Here, and actually, let me move this so I can see that a little bit better. Excellent. There we go. And so I just alternated these, and this same kind of series we're going to see in the other 2 strands. So I went ahead and made this strand here. And then what I want to talk about a little bit is what I do when I'm working with multi-strand. And I'm trying to decide on a multi-strand where I want those focals to be. Are they going to be straight through the center? Are they going to be offsetting on our outer strands? And for this one, I thought that offset would be perfect. So we would have this focal strand of the pop of that pink coming through, and then we would have this offset of our greens, and then we'll meld them all together here throughout. So that's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm going for tonight. So I'm going to take one of my strands, and I'm going to start here with this one. So he is going to be our focal. He's going to go right here in the center, and we'll put this other one to the side. And I'm just going to put a seed bead on either side of it, just because sometimes a seed bead can give that little pop. So it's kind of pulling out the beauty that's in this bead.
Yeah, so for folks, if folks want to, make this design for themselves, you'll want to pick up the holiday checkbox for all of these beads, and then just add in some 11-0 seed beads from your stash and some of these findings, the toggle, the stringing wire, and that kind of stuff.
Yep. But the beads, the glory of all of this, fully included.
Exactly.
Fully included. Love that. And so I think what I'm going to do is put our pretty little stars right in the middle of 2 greens. So I'm just going to do the green star green here, and I'm going to do that on both sides of our focal part here.
And do you mind bringing what you're working on just a few inches up towards the center of your mat?
Is that a little better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for being on the lookout for me.
Oh yeah, I'm here just to help. I get to watch.
Appreciate that.
Everyone else.
My eyes are down here, so I appreciate your eyes. Extra eyes are never a bad thing, right?
Right. Yes.
Never, ever. So what I'm thinking is I'm taking a seed bead and just kind of parting this series that we have going. And then I'm just going to do one of our window beads here. I'm going to come down here with some of our seed beads, and I'll do a seed bead on either side of our window bead, and just come right back in here with our green and our star. I love these stars. And another one of these green beads. And then we'll just separate it here with a seed bead. So we'll do that same thing on the other side.
I like these little segments you're making. It's, you're not just putting the seed bead between every single bead. It's a little bit different than that.
It's just, that's the thing is when you have great beads, these seed beads can really just, well, first you have to put it on right here, but these seed beads can really just accentuate what you already have. So just put them where I'm needing that separation a little bit and let the beads do the rest of the talking. And I just love it. So through here, since I already have one, I'm looking at how this looks together, right? And this is just, it's pulling out. I think green and pink complement each other so well. Of course, we know the whole green and red and the color wheel, but whoo, love it. It works really well here.
It was cool to see that for a bracelet design, you were starting in the middle. I often think of that for a necklace design, that I'll start stringing from the center, but I actually don't know if I've ever thought to do that with a bracelet. So that makes sense though.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it all depends on, what we're looking for. And actually, I think on this end, I may just go with the star. Let's see what we're looking at for our length on our other one. But it depends on what we're looking for. So if I'm wanting this to stay in the center and it's going to be the same series that I'm thinking, I'll work from both of those sides. But sometimes it just depends. It just depends.
And while you're stringing it, if you're just able to go a little more up center on your board, that would be wonderful.
Awesome. And I'm going to do essentially the same thing, but I think I'm going to put one of our window beads here in the center, because we're going to have 2 pieces to our focal on this one. And then we'll just come in here. We'll do our same little series. But then they'll kind of offset from each other. And really, it doesn't matter when you're pulling in seed beads. It doesn't matter if they're gold. It doesn't matter if they're bronze. Pardon me. It doesn't matter if they're white. Just, it's a little bit of separation and to kind of accentuate the beauty of the beads. So I don't have that separation in the middle with the window beads here. Let's go to the other side.
And if you just want to move a few inches up, that would, I know everyone wants to see what you're working on. There you go.
And it's really kind of that same series just coming back in there. Maybe we'll do the little star in between on this one. But then still on each side of that star, kind of like with those window beads, just kind of pulling in a seed bead on each side. Then we'll end out a little bit differently here. So we'll put a star in. And a seed bead. Then we'll come back up here with just one of each of these. And then let's take a peek at our length and see where we are. It's always good to end with something that's kind of smaller. But you see how it's just kind of off kilter from each other just a little bit. And this one, you see, I have a little bit too much of a series. I got a little excited on this one.
And are you trying to make all 3 the same length or different lengths? How do you think?
I'm wanting them to be the same length. And it's a good thing that you're asking, because sometimes I want the center one to be just a little bit longer than the outer ones, or the outer ones to be just a little bit longer than the center one. depending on how you want them to lay. And so if for this purpose, I want them to all lay just kind of parallel to each other, sequential right here, I'm wanting them to be about that same length.
Wonderful.
And here, I think we're just going to take off those stars because the length I'm looking for, I pre-measured, is that center one, because I am keeping this bracelet for myself because it is my party bracelet and I need it to fit me.
I know that. Well, that's what's great about making jewelry is I can make everything fit exactly how I want because I like my bracelets to fit very snugly on my wrist, especially when I'm working and typing or whatever throughout the day. I like very snug bracelets, and when I make my own, I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. And you can also be somewhat like me and plan to do that, but kind of get to talking and be off a little bit. And I am off a little bit. So let's see where we are here. So we have this series. We have, you see what I did here? And then we have this series. And then
we're not able
to and didn't on this side.
Okay. Yeah, we're not able to see the bottom strand.
I am so sorry, you guys. I will get better. First timer here on this. And so I need to move this here. My friends are out there saying, "Thank you, Amy. I saw it. Thank you."
Oh,
I saw what you did. I messed it up.
Add this bead.
Or maybe they didn't see it because I keep hiding that bottom strand. I'm hiding it because I'm not doing it right. You see?
Well, I know this is. I know you do your lives, but usually on your own. So I'm just, I'm adding the extra element here, and I'm like, oh, you also have to chat with me today too.
I tell you. Well, and here's the thing. I'm just a little bit excited.
Yeah, me too.
A little bit excited here. Little nervous, but more so just super duper excited. Okay, let's check our length and see if we can close this up.
Okay, let's see.
All because Amy likes to talk. I think we'll just add a green at the end of this one and we will be set. And there's greens that's left for it, so that's perfect. It's one of those things too, you get to looking at it and you start changing it up because your mind's telling you this way or that way. And then, you have a new design. So all I'm going to do here is close these up. So I am a big fan of the clamshell connectors. And so I have some copper ones here. And I'm just going to put that on, and I'm using 2x2 crimps for the end of this. And I'm just going to bring this up to the tip and close it off really well. And then we'll just bring that clamshell up and close it off. And for some, it comes down to just preference. If they're wanting to use clamshell or if they're wanting to use a wire guardian, sometimes it comes down to your connection and what would be the best connection, whether it's for flow or if it's for the look of it. But I'm just a real big fan of the clamshell connector. So on this side, when I'm doing it for bracelet purposes, we want to make sure that we have that movement that's still happening there. And so what I usually do is just fold it up. So I make sure that there's no additional spacing. And then I just kind of fold it up here in my hand. And then I come in here. I want to make sure you can still see it. But I just kind of grab that. And I always pull my wire up at the same time I'm crimping down. That way it keeps it tight, but it gives it enough of a little bit of a wiggle room to close that clamshell. Because when we're closing that clamshell, it's going to take up a little bit of room of its own.
Oh, okay. I'm actually very new to the clamshells. So with this, you don't even have to make a loop with the wire.
No, ma'am.
It took me until you did the second one to realize what was happening.
It makes it so easy. And when you use good crimps, the whole key to being able to do this is using good crimps, good crimp tubes. But it makes things so easy, and boom, that one's done.
Yeah. Oh,
You
that's
see?
so cool.
So we'll do this other one. And whenever I'm doing them, when I do the first side, I just bring it up to the very tip. That way, the only one you're crimping down inside that clamshell is your end piece, your end side.
I see. So on this first side, you can just do it.
I
just
come
right,
right up to that tip. Yep, yeah, right up to the end. But you always want to make sure there's a little something poking up there. Now, here's what's cool too about closing this way. You know, with your Coriana chain, this is the key, is being able to close like this. But it makes it so nice to be able to use these clamshells, and you can use your Coriana chain for dangles. You can use it for so much more, just thinking of these clamshells in a little bit of a different way.
This is one reason I just love getting to see how other designers work, because they use materials and techniques that are not part of my regular routine. And now I have another option I might try.
Well, and it's one of those things too, whenever you're used to doing what you do, you're not looking outside of the scope of that because it works, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really have a reason to look outside of it.
Yeah, but there's benefits to this. So I know this is very cool. I'm glad I've learned a new trick.
Now, know something then about clamshells, and I'll go ahead and do it with this one, is this last one. Sometimes, especially when you're working with stainless steel ones, you might want to open it up just a little bit extra before you get started to make sure you can get down in there and close him up. So I'm just holding on to him. I grab a hold of that tube, and then I grab a hold of my wire and pull up on my wire while I'm crimping. That way it gives it that snug connection. You don't have any gaps. But again, when you're closing up this clamshell, it's going to take just a little bit of room on its own. So that makes sure that you can have that room. Then we'll just close him up. Easy peasy. So what I'm going to do with these guys is I'm going to connect them each. I'm going to put one of our oval jump rings on each of them, and then I'm going to connect them to one oval jump ring. So that gives me the best flow. So each of these guys is going to have their own jump ring on the end. And then all three of these end jump rings are going to connect to one jump ring that connects to this side of the toggle, and the same on the other side.
Got it. That makes sense.
That gives a really good flow. That really helps. So, you know, even if they cross each other a little bit, they're still not going to get hung up on each other. Because that's something that you don't want, is for them to get hung up on each other. And sometimes that's what some say is a drawback to using the clamshells, is because it's such a teeny tiny little spot there, you see. But if you're using your jump rings, and I'm such a fan of these oval jump rings, if you're using your jump rings, then you shouldn't have a problem. Bead train.
I know. It started, so I was like, quickly mute it, but maybe people almost like hearing it now.
We're used to it. It feels like home.
Yeah. Oh, there. Now it's really going by. Yeah, for folks who don't know, the Sam's Bead Shop home warehouse, we are right by the train. So Amtrak's coming through, cargo's coming through. So, and we call it the bead train. So if you've ever hung out at one of your live sales, you'll know we love giving out like points and gifts for folks who shout out the bead train, because we're like, well, we need the train to come because the beads have to arrive. So that's where that came from, if you're curious.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So all I'm doing here is I have my oval jump ring, and I'm just hooking each of the 3 of these jump rings onto him. And then I will go ahead and, I think this is pretty full. So I think I'm going to hold off, maybe put another one of these on here for a different connection because they're pretty full. Sometimes you can get away with sticking it right on there, but they're pretty full, and I do not want that toggle to get jammed up. So you see what we're looking at here? I'm pulling it up. I have each of these 3 on a jump ring. That jump ring's connected to another, and then I'm holding on to a top one. It's this top one here that I'm going to connect to the end of the toggle.
Got it. Yeah. So you just
And
added
we're
one
going to
more.
be super flowy with this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if you could fit the original 3 right onto the clasp. Maybe the hole is big enough, but yeah, it's going to, when you wear it, it'll just, as you're saying, it will definitely not have the right flow.
You want to make sure you got that flow. Yeah. So you see on this side here, we've got plenty of flow going on. So it's just wavy and it's beautiful and it's happy.
Oh my gosh, it's exciting just starting to see it come together.
I love triple strands. I love them. I make them all the time. They are my happiness bracelet.
I guess they're an AB signature. I love that.
So again, I'm just going to put these jump rings on. And a new night for me to be on a live. This is super exciting.
Yeah. What's your regular schedule for going live?
Wednesday night wind down. So Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So then that would be 6 p.m. your time there.
Yep, on the Pacific Coast.
Yep, 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. And so we just get together and, hopefully by the end of the live, I have my project put together. But sometimes we talk and chat and have a good time. And, sometimes it doesn't fully get finished, but it's always the goal.
Yep, you got to try, but what happens, happens.
Always want to have that goal.
That's great.
One of my jump rings over here. Let's get him out.
We do a lot of live classes here at the shop. And I think part of the reason, at least that I like it, is it really feels like we're just hanging out together. We're hanging out with everyone in the chat. And, if they're beading along, like we're going at the same pace that you are. And it's just, it feels like you're at your local bead store and you're making along with everyone. So that's one of the reasons we love lives. It feels like we're back in the local bead store. Cause I know we had 2 here in the East Bay, close to us that, I used to go to growing up, but they've both closed. So I don't have that anymore. Yeah.
That's so sad. I'm telling you, the coolest thing is having local bead stores. It's such a big deal. But I'll tell you, with lives for me, it's such a big deal because so often when I'm beading, I'm talking to everyone anyways, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get, the feedback. So when I'm talking, I can actually get that feedback, even though a lot of times I ask anyways, even if I'm just recording.
Yeah.
But I do bead as if you guys are there with me. And having the lives really just allows that to come to life.
Yeah.
And look at this.
I know.
Live.
That is gorgeous.
And this is the way I like to wear mine. I like it right here at the cusp. That way it can come up a little bit. It can come down. That way if I'm wearing sleeves, it can come down. To each their own on how they like to wear it. But I'm super happy that it does fit me because sometimes, even though I should know my wrist really well, sometimes, but it's just a flowy bracelet. You see how much fun that is?
Oh, it's great.
Just flowy and cute. And our earrings are going to be the same. So our earrings are not difficult. They're going to be easy. We're using the same components, the same quote unquote ingredients.
Yeah.
and all this same bead happiness. So all we're going to be doing, and are we doing good on time?
Yeah, we're doing great. I want to pull up just one question on the bracelet that we got.
Please.
And Dale asked, how would you make this bracelet to adjust to different size wrists? Yeah.
So what you could do is, it depends. So at the end here, sometimes you can put a lobster claw clasp. So you can have a lobster here at the end that connects to it with an extra link. That way, if they're not needing it, say if you're selling it and you are at a bead show, you're at your craft show, and someone tries it on and they don't need that additional link, you have that lobster that you can take off that includes those extra couple jump rings. That's an option. But you can also add additional links. Here, you can have an additional jump ring. It's going to give you extra flow. It makes it easy. There's a couple different ways you could do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd say. I'll add on to that. Yeah, with a toggle clasp, it's much more of a set length. But if you are, making it as a gift or selling it at a fair, I love that idea. Just bring some extra jump rings, and you can actually size it to them very easily. Bring your pliers, and then you can just add or remove a jump ring at the end, just for that slight difference. If you still want to use the toggle clasp, but then if you really want it adjustable, your best bet, it would be a lobster clasp and then an extender chain, so that way people can choose how long to wear it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good question.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
So what I was wanting to pull in here is, I just have a couple of my head pins here, my eye head pins, and I just want to dangle a couple little bitty pieces of chain. I have just a little bit of chain. You could use chain. You could use a couple jump rings. You can choose what you want to use here, but I just wanted something a little flowy here coming from the bottom. You could actually also, instead of using any chain at all, you could just leave a little bit of length on the top of your bead here, and you could have them dangle directly from this centerpiece. So let's see how I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put one of our little seed beads on both sides. So I'm going to put a seed bead, our focal, and then another seed bead. And I am going to bring in our one-step looper. Have you used a one-step looper, Rachel? Do you like it?
It has been a long time since I've used one. Are you a fan?
Yeah, I'm a fan here lately because it just makes it so quick.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing here is, because I have a dangle coming down, and actually it won't matter because it's just chain. Typically, if I have a dangle, I'm going in opposite directions, right? But this one-step looper, I'm just putting it in here, slowly closing it. It breaks off that extra piece. It closes. I give it a kick back, and my loop is done. Sometimes you have a little wonkiness that you fix, but otherwise, you have that option with a one-step looper to just make those loops. Or you could just make your simple loops the way you always, make them. And I'll come in here and we'll make just a simple loop. Again, with our one-step looper. I just put it straight in there. Get very close to that bead. As close as I can there. I don't know if you can see that or if it's too blurry there. If you can see that.
That's perfect.
And I just come down and kick it back. Yeah, the one-step looper comes in 3 different sizes. This is the smallest size, the 1.5 millimeter, and it makes the same size loops as what you get here on your little head pins.
Yeah,
so it is that same size.
Seeing you use it, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like that.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do with it is to make the little figure 8s, the little infinity symbols, and use that instead of jump rings as you're making your design and your piece. So instead of jump rings in between your links, you can have your little S's, and the one-step looper is great for that.
Oh, cool.
Great for that. And I'm going to pull it in as well. And all I'm doing here is putting a little seed bead with one of our stars and then a seed bead. And I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the assembly line.
Oh, yeah.
Where I make them all up and sometimes I surprise myself and I'm like, oh, I'm doing each step individually. Sometimes.
Yeah, folks, we have some folks watching who say they are a big fan of the one-step looper. They really like how consistent the loops are. Like, you know, it's going to be the same size every time. And they say it helps their wrists. So, all right, maybe worth giving a try.
Yeah. And I don't know about this little seed bead. He says, I don't like this head pin. So we may omit him on a couple of them. Those 11-0s, little video guys. And see, he's stuck there. One rule of thumb to know, though, if you're trying to get, especially if it's glass or if it's a gemstone, if you're trying to get it here on your head pin and it doesn't really want to go through, always twist it to get it down through instead of pushing it. That way you take way less of a chance of cracking that bead or cracking that gemstone by just giving it a little twist.
I like that. That sounds like a good gentle method.
Well, with anything, I'm quite gentle and I go very slow with that one-step looper. Sometimes I kind of feel bad. I tell them, sorry I go slow, but we are saving, remember, we are saving time. I think I'm going to get different little head pins here, actually. Hang tight here.
Sounds good.
Those
ones, I guess, they're probably just a little thicker near the end.
They are a little thicker. Yeah. Ooh, let's do this. I'm going to pull in some gold here.
Oh,
how about we wrap these? That sounds like fun. You want to wrap them?
Let's do it. Do we need a wrap? What are they going to get connected to? Our chain or the...
They're going to be connected to the chain, but either way, even with the simple loops, I wanted to use 4mm jump rings to give them flow. So we're just going to wrap them up and knock them out.
Perfect.
And we'll use that same method because I'm such a big fan of it. We'll get them all in there.
I know we're switching over to wrap loops now, but one question we got, someone says sometimes when they use the one-step looper, there can be a little extra space between the bead and the loop. It can look a little loose. Is that something you've ever found or ways to approach that?
Sometimes I find that more so if I'm using a bigger bead that's at the end because it just can't get that closeness. But whenever I'm using the one-step looper, if I just grabbed one of these here, and I came in with it, let me look here to make sure you can see, this bottom jaw right here, you want your bead right up against that bottom jaw.
Okay.
But you don't want it past that because then you take a chance on cracking your bead.
Yeah.
So you want your head pin to be all the way up against the back and you want your bead to be right where my thumbnail is. And I'll leave my thumbnail right here where this bead would be. Make sure you can see. And then when I come up and around, you see it's not touching my thumbnail. It's almost touching my thumbnail, but it's not. And then I give just a little kickback. And if you see where my thumbnail was, it's right where that kickback was, and there's no added space. So it all comes down to watching and also going slow. So I go pretty slow, but you're saving so much time by using this tool. Take your time. Just take your time and go through there. You want your bead up against this bottom one here, not past it. But if you're coming further out from it, that's where your gap's coming from.
Perfect. Wow. Thank you so much. That was so helpful.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. So I've really, I've already done the whole trial and error.
Oh yeah, you figured it out.
So we're just going to wrap these here. So I'm going to put my round nose pliers on top, make mine 90 degree. I'm just going to turn it, come up and around, rotate my wrist. And I always give a little kickback whenever I get to the top. It's just what I do. And some have said, you really don't need that. And you know what? You may really not need it at all. It's just part of my process. It's what I do. And I always end up saying it too, which is kind of silly, but I say it, give a little kick. If you can't laugh at yourself, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of laughing at myself. I'm a very enthusiastic person, especially about beads.
Exactly. We are always giggling and joking and having so much fun with beads around here.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. So now that I've put all of those on, I'm just grabbing a hold of this. I'm going to swivel it around and we are going to wrap this up. And I just give a couple wraps. So I'll grab this other one. Are we still good on time or do I need to hustle myself?
No, we've still got 15 minutes. So I think we'll be able to finish these earrings. No problem.
We'll be able to get those done. And it depends too, you know, I'm a big fan. I have some of my ball head pins that are thicker gauged and I can't make necessarily just a simple loop, but I only have to go around a couple times and I'm really starting to like that look over these, you know, 26 gauge wire ones. I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't know if it's a fad thing I'm going through or what, but I'm becoming a fan. And I just wrap them around a couple times and we'll trim them off. And with these little guys, when I'm trimming them off, I'm just coming back from where I came from and giving them a trim. And spilling tools. So we'll clip each of them off. And what's so cool about this too is not only is it perfect for like the holiday parties, because that's what I'm thinking of with them as holiday party.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just perfect for holiday party, but this is something that you can wear year round.
Yeah.
You know, so much of the holiday stuff that we make ends up being something that we only get the opportunity to wear for a month or so during the year. I'm big fan of the holiday stuff that can be, you know, whole winter wear.
Oh yeah. I mean, these jewel tones
Or year round.
will always look good.
Oh, always. They're gorgeous. Such a fan of the colors, these colors together.
But we're not like, yeah, if you used a Christmas tree bead or a, you know, there's certain beads that would make it like feel very holiday. But I think these are a nice touch. They feel holiday, but they're not so on the nose.
Right, right. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to show you with these littler beads here instead of doing wraps. I'm going to show you here with these thicker gauged, and these are stainless steel, which I'm a fan of those. And that's actually what ended up happening. I ended up finding that if I was wanting, you know, stainless steel, it is a heavy, it's a heavy ball head pin. At first, it was kind of a shocker to me because I just wasn't used to the thicker gauge, but now I'm a big fan. You want to see why I'm a big fan? Because I can come right in here. So I'm going to show you guys again. You see this itty bitty bead is right up against that lip. And I'm just closing it down and popping it out. There is no space that's there. Now, sometimes it can be a little kind of sideways, and I think that was part of the question too. The way you can keep that from happening is to make sure that your head pin is all the way up against the back. If it's diagonal, if it's coming out this way a little bit, then your loop is also going to do the same thing. And it'll give you what I like to call wonky loops. Oh, and then you can crack a bead like I just did because you were giggling. Amy.
Redo.
This is the giggle gets it. You've got to be, my friend, you've got to be serious whenever you're doing that. If you giggle, you could crack a bead. You've got to be very serious.
Do they put that on the back of the package?
Right. Oh, that's why we just go slow and we don't giggle whenever we're doing it. But at least you got to see what happens whenever that occurs.
Yep.
Part of the plan, right? Part of the plan. Never. I would never crack a bead on purpose. I love them. Some would call me a bead collector. Some would call me a bead hoarder. I just like pretty things.
Yeah. How long have you been making jewelry? Like when did you get into jewelry making?
So just a few years, really. So it all started. So for me, it all started with, because I've always been big into design. And like for our wedding, I did all of the flowers. We did all of our decor, and we had a gorgeous wedding by just being able to do that. It kept us in budget. But, you know, I had pieces of jewelry that was passed down to me, and those pieces had meaning to me. And there were components to it that were pretty, but just not my style. And so it all started with that. And so I went on YouTube and figured out how I could take apart the jewelry. I went and bought entirely too much from Hobby Lobby because I didn't watch that video, and I should have. And then as soon as I started, I fell in love with every single aspect of it. Every single aspect. And I jumped in with everything I had, which is typically what I do in life. So that's what did it. And then I was not planning on being on YouTube. We had a foreign exchange student from Pakistan, and she actually just went back home June 11th of this year. And I uploaded my first video on June 7th, but she encouraged me. You need to show people what you're doing. People want to see what you're doing. Teach them how to do this. And so just before she had left, I did it.
Wow. I love that story.
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot. And I think of her a lot. We talk a lot. And there's a lot of, yes, Nuri. Her name's Nuri. You were right. Yes, you were right. So instead of, her having to tell me as the parent figure, you were right. It's the other way around.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, sometimes you need someone to give you that nudge and that boost. I love that. Yeah.
I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that push, because that's one thing, and I talk to people all the time about that, because I love how on your Facebook, on Gym Chat, on our Facebook for Campbell's Creators, I have faith in what you're doing. Be confident in yourself. And it's so hard. It's one of the biggest struggles that we have, is being able to be confident in what we're doing. And please be confident in what you're doing. Please be confident and share with us.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love when people post what they're making in our Facebook groups. I mean, it makes me so happy. I want to heart it. I want to comment, like, oh, absolutely. it makes me so happy to do that. And we get to do that. I mean, that's why we have these why we have these bead communities online, because maybe the people in your life just aren't that interested in jewelry, but like we all are. So we can all geek out together.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, walk me through what you're doing right now.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss it.
That's what I was about to say is what I'm doing here is I am simply, whether these are simple standard loops or wrapped loops, I was wanting to put them on a 4mm jump ring anyhow to make sure they had nice flow, because I didn't want to overwhelm this little bitty piece of chain. I just wanted this bling factor to be coming down from our earring. So this is why I'm adding jump rings. If these were all simple loops, I wouldn't have to add a jump ring. And for the wrapped loops, I could wrap them directly on the chain. But boy, I love this movement. So that's what I'm doing right now. Love that movement. So for this last one that I'm going to be putting on, I'm going to put it right up here at the top. And I think we're going to use that as a connector. So I have a star at the top. And let me make sure I'm not down too low. I think I'm down too low, you guys. I'm sorry about that. On this last one, I connected the star to our chain, and then I'm just going to go ahead and connect it directly to our focal part of this earring. And we just knock it all out together. Then we'll do that other one, but it just gives a little bit of something at the bottom without it being too much.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of sometimes, less is more. Not always. But sometimes less is more. And in this case, there's so much to these stars. I love these stars that come in this collection. Love them.
Yeah. I have to tell you a little behind the scenes. Sam really pushed for these. When we were designing the box, me and Shai we were like, we knew we loved the stars. We just couldn't quite tell because we're buying these from the Czech Republic. We're looking at photos, which one do we want? And like, we just couldn't quite tell if the color was going to fit with all the other beads. But Sam was like, no, these are right. We need these. We're like, okay, Sam, we're going to trust you. And I'm glad we did. So.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
So sometimes it's kind of interesting. Some beads we like all agree on immediately. And we're like, yep, that needs to be in this collection. But sometimes someone has to fight for it. And that one was that one.
In anything in life, that's what it comes down to. And that's why compromise is such a beautiful thing.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of compromise, but sometimes you do need to stand up for it. You need to stand up and say, this is exactly what I'm thinking. I'm going to clean up my bead mat because I'm a big fan of my bead mat being clean. And then we are going to lay these out.
Let's see the final reveal. Everyone, this is the finished pieces. And this is only some of the beads from the Czech glass holiday box. You will definitely be able to make even more. But oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. This is amazing.
And it's so fun for year round. Like just a little piece of party right here on the bead mat.
I'm so pretty. Oh my gosh. Well, would you flip your camera around and we can just chat a little bit more? Awesome. Well, what I do want to make sure I tell folks before they leave. So all these beads are from our Czech glass holiday box, which is available on our website. There's links in the description. But I thought someone might be asking about our subscription box, which I know you've gotten a couple of them. So we also do a surprise mystery box every single month. So this one's not a mystery, but for our subscription box, which is Sam's Bead Box, folks can get a surprise collection of beads every single month. We spend a lot of time curating and designing them, coming up with brand new themes. So that's at samsbeadbox.com. So I'll just give that a little bit of a shout out if you haven't checked that out yet. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this is fabulous. I'm in the holiday spirit. I'm feeling it.
Love it. And this was one thing I did as well, just to kind of get me into the holiday spirit, just to kind of decorating, get me going there, because life's busy. And so you bring together happiness of beads and all of these colors and all of this. And how could you not then? It worked.
Yeah.
it worked.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. Thank you to everyone. What do you have coming up this week or in the next couple of weeks? What should people look out for?
This week actually is a pretty big week. So on Wednesday nights, we have our Wednesday night wind down. And so we're still going to be having that. And actually, this is the advisory that something surprise may be happening during that Wednesday wind down live. So stay tuned for that. But then Thursday, it's real exciting because this is my first collaboration, but then I'm going to collaborate with Becky for my second collaboration.
Oh, yeah, we just did that too with Becky.
I know, and you two are so cute together. I just giggled watching you guys because you're so cute together. So it made me that much more excited to get started here tonight and to get to meet you and get to hang out.
Is that going to be on both of your channels? That one? Okay, people have to check that out. That's going to be
my IT guy is working on that so that we could get that worked out. So
Sweet. All right. So good things are coming. Please subscribe over on Campbell Creation so you can see everything that Amy is working on.
Would love to have you.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.